Hello everyone, and thank you for coming back to the channel. This time, things are no longer the same. CEO Tuan walks once again along that familiar path, ready to pass by Diem like a complete stranger. But this time, she doesn't give him a way out. No panic chasing, no desperate hug. Diem stands straight in front of him, blocking the very path he always uses to leave. He has nowhere left to turn away, and she has no intention of letting go one more time. Caught between lost memories and feelings that never faded, CEO Toan is forced to stop. A meeting he can't avoid. A moment they both understand. Clearly, if they miss this chance, they will truly lose each other. Will CEO Tuan keep running? Or will this very moment finally make him stay with Diem? Don't take your eyes off this story. And if you don't want to miss the intense and emotional developments ahead, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications right now. Wishing you all a wonderful day. Now, let the story begin. Diem woke up before the day had fully broken. The first thin light of morning slipped through the window, settling softly over the quiet room. She sat at the edge of the bed, hands resting on her knees, back straight, though her shoulders trembled slightly, with a mix of anxiety and resolve. Today she was going to look for CEO Toan. No more hesitation. No more wondering whether she was brave enough. In that silent moment, she understood one thing clearly. If she didn't step outside today, if she didn't go find him now, she might regret it for the rest of her life. She closed her eyes for a few seconds and took a deep breath as if steadying herself. In her mind appeared the familiar dirt path, the morning sunlight, and the figure she had been waiting for all this time. Whether he remembered her or not, whether he recognized her or not, she had to see him one more time. Diem stood up, put on her jacket, and walked out of the room. Today, she was determined to find CEO Toan. On the familiar path, she walked slowly, no longer rushing like before. Each step was steady and light, as if she were trying to keep her breathing in sync with the rhythm of the road itself. Morning dew still clung to the grass along the path, and the cool breeze brushed against her shoulders. The path gradually became clearer, curving gently toward the farm. As she passed a small house nearby, Diem stopped and approached a woman standing on the porch. She pulled out a photo of CEO Toan from her pocket and held it up, carrying a fragile sense of hope. "Have you seen this man pass by here?" The woman studied the photo for a moment, then gently shook her head. "No, I haven't seen him." The hope in Diem's chest dipped slightly, but she didn't linger. She put the photo away, thanked the woman softly, and continued on. The path ahead remained quiet, filled only with the sound of her footsteps and the wind moving through the wild grass. When she reached the place where she had once met Tuan, Diem stopped. It was a small patch of land by the roadside where sunlight often fell gently. She stood there for a moment, then slowly sat down on the grass, wrapping her arms around her knees. Her gaze stayed fixed on the path in the distance, the place where he had once appeared. She didn't call his name. She didn't step into the road. She simply sat there quietly waiting. Time passed slowly. Morning birds called out, then fell silent. The wind stirred the grass around her. Diem remained still, her eyes never leaving the path. She believed that if he still walked this road, If only one more time she would see the man she loved again. At the farm, Toan is still doing his usual daily work, harvesting pomelos for the buyer. He stands in the middle of the wide orchard, hands moving quickly as he cuts each fruit and places it into the sacks. Sweat soaks the back of his shirt, but he doesn't complain. For him, working is the only way to quiet the vague emptiness in his head, the only way to earn money to bring home to the elderly woman who took him in. A co-worker casually turns to him and asks, "Hey, what's your name?" Tuan freezes for a second. The knife in his hand stops midair. He opens his mouth, then falls silent. His mind is blank. No name comes to him at all. "I don't remember," he says softly, his voice unsteady. The other guy looks at him for a few seconds, then lets out an awkward laugh and doesn't ask anything else. Toan lowers his head and keeps working. He doesn't need anyone to know who he is. He just needs to finish the job and bring the money home to the old woman. That's enough. By the time the last sacks of pomelos are loaded onto the truck and the buyer drives away, the sun is already sliding toward the west. Toan wipes the sweat off, says goodbye to everyone, and walks onto the road leading home. He walks slowly. He doesn't know why he's not in a hurry today. It feels as if something is waiting for him up ahead. And then he sees her. From a distance, Diem stands by the edge of the grass, her figure small, but unmistakably clear. Toan's heart tightens. He recognizes her, the girl who had hugged him the other day, sending him into panic and making him run away. This time, he doesn't turn back. He knows he can't let this moment slip away, even though he doesn't know who she is, even though his memories are still empty. A strange feeling pushes him forward. Tuan takes a deep breath, then slowly walks toward her step by step, steady and deliberate, as if he's moving toward something deeply important, even if he can't yet put a name to it. Tuan slowly walked toward Diem. His steps were steady and unhurried, as if he were approaching something important, something he didn't want to startle. Diem was sitting at the edge of the grass, her eyes still fixed on the dirt path. When she noticed the familiar figure, she flinched slightly, then stood up. This time, there was no rushed hug like before. No panic. No desperate pulling back. Diem stepped in front of Toan and stopped at a very close distance. Gently, she lifted his hands. Her touch was warm and slow, as if she wanted him to feel safe. Then she looked straight into his eyes filled with exhaustion and emptiness. In that moment, Diem saw everything. She saw the days he'd spent wandering without memories, the long hours of hard labor at the farm, the hardship and loneliness he'd endured over the past month. He didn't need to say a word. She understood how he had been living. "You've been through a lot," she said softly. Toan stayed still. He looked into the eyes of the woman standing in front of him. He didn't remember who she was. He couldn't name the relationship between them. But one thing was clear in his heart. Those eyes were not unfamiliar. In her gaze, he felt something known. He felt waiting. He felt something that made his chest tighten. A sense of safety he had lost long ago, quietly returned, vague but real. He didn't pull his hands away. He didn't avoid her. He simply stood there, letting her look at him, letting the moment pass slowly, as if they both knew that even though his memories hadn't returned, the connection between them had never truly disappeared. Diem slowly takes one more step forward, then gently wraps her arms around him, resting her head against Tuan's chest. It isn't a tight hug, not one meant to hold him in place by force, just close enough for him to feel her heartbeat, light enough that he doesn't feel trapped. She stays there calm and still in his arms. CEO Toan stiffens slightly at first. He isn't used to this kind of closeness, but he doesn't feel afraid either. It's a strange feeling, unfamiliar, yet somehow familiar at the same time, one that makes him unable to push her away. His arms hover awkwardly for a moment, then slowly settle on her back, almost instinctively, in a way he himself doesn't understand. Diem takes a deep breath. She knows that if she says nothing, they could stand like this for a long time. But she also knows that if she says the wrong thing, he might panic again, like before. So, she chooses something small. "Did you have a tiring day at work?" she asks softly. Her voice is gentle and steady, the way you'd speak to someone you've known for a long time. CEO Tuan freezes for a second. He didn't expect that question. "It was normal," he answers after a brief pause. "I'm used to it." "You work at a pomelo farm?" she asks. "Yeah." He nods lightly. Picking fruit packing bags, delivering them to traders. Diem tightens her arms just a little, not out of emotion, but to keep herself steady. Images flash clearly in her mind, him in a tailored suit, walking into boardrooms, standing in front of hundreds of people. And now he talks about hard labor in such a calm, matter-of-fact tone. "Do you find it exhausting?" she asks. Tuan is quiet for a moment. "Yes," he admits. Then he adds honestly, "But I need the money to give to the old woman." "Does she treat you well?" Diem asks. "Very well." He answers immediately without hesitation. "If it weren't for her, I don't know where I'd be." Diem nods softly. She doesn't ask about his past, doesn't ask how he ended up there. She knows that even touching that line would bring his headache back. After a while, she tilts her head slightly and looks up at him. "Do you remember your name?" she asks. The moment the question leaves her lips, Toan frowns. A sharp pressure starts spreading from his temples into his head. His hand instinctively rises to his forehead. "I'm not sure," he says slowly. "Sometimes I think my name is Tuan, but I don't know if that's real." Her heart trembles, but she doesn't show it. She immediately softens her voice. "It's okay," she says. "You don't have to remember right now." She gently rubs his back, slow and steady. "Just try to breathe slowly." He follows her lead without realizing it. His breathing evens out, though the dull ache in his head remains. "Have we known each other for a long time?" he asks quietly. Diem stays silent for a few seconds. This is the question she's been preparing herself for. For quite a while, she answers. "But that's not important right now." "Then, what are we to each other?" She closes her eyes for the briefest moment. "We're acquaintances," she says. "People who used to be very important to each other." He doesn't ask anything more. Not because he isn't curious, but because the pain in his head is growing worse. Broken images appear and disappear a late afternoon. A hand, a voice calling his name, everything blurry, impossible to hold on to. He lets out a quiet groan, gripping his forehead. "My head, it hurts again." Diem immediately holds him a little closer, still gentle. Don't try to remember, she says quickly but calmly. The more you try, the more it hurts. She guides him to lean against her shoulder so he doesn't have to stand on his own. Let's talk about something else. He nods faintly. What do you like to eat? She asks, as if they were just two strangers getting to know each other. Tuan blinks, then answers without thinking. Hot rice. With soup. He pauses. I don't know why, but I really like simple meals. Diem smiles her nose stinging slightly. Then we're the same, she says softly. He looks at her the corner of his mouth, lifting just a little, a faint smile, but the first real one he's given her. Do you often wait for me here, he asks. No. She shakes her head. It's just, today, I wanted to see you. Why? She doesn't answer right away. She rests her forehead against his chest and speaks very quietly. Because I was afraid that if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to handle it. He doesn't fully understand what she means, but he feels the sincerity in every word. That familiar feeling rises again, as if someone had leaned on him like this before, had said something similar long ago. The pain in his head intensifies. He closes his eyes tightly. I feel tired, he murmurs. Okay, Diem says immediately. Let's sit down. She helps him sit on the grass by the roadside, letting him lean against her. She stops asking questions, stops pulling him into conversation. She's simply there holding him so his pain doesn't turn into fear. Tuan keeps his eyes closed, breathing heavily. I'm sorry, he whispers. I can't remember anything. Diem gently shakes her head, placing her hand over his chest. You don't need to be sorry, she says softly. As long as you're here, that's enough. They continued sitting together on the grassy edge of the narrow path. The surroundings were so quiet that the soft rustle of wind through the leaves and the faint sounds of insects hidden in the grass could be heard clearly. The sun had climbed higher, casting warm light across their shoulders, but neither of them seemed aware of time passing. Tuan closed his eyes for a long while. The headache was still there, a dull, steady throb deep in his temples. But wrapped in Diem's arms, it no longer sent him into panic. The pain existed, but it didn't overwhelm him. He could breathe more evenly. He could let his body rest against someone without the fear of being abandoned. Diem felt the change right away. She didn't say anything, only adjusted her position slightly so he could lean more comfortably. Her hand rested on his back, patting gently and rhythmically, the way someone might soothe a child after a nightmare. She knew that right now, presence mattered more than words. After a while, Toan opened his eyes. His gaze was slow, but clearer than before. He looked up at the blue sky above the treetops, then turned to her. Do you come sit here often? He asked, his voice hoarse. She shook her head gently. No, I only sit here when I'm waiting for someone. That person. Tuan hesitated. Is it me? She didn't answer right away. She didn't want to place a heavy meaning on him. Someone very important, she said after a few seconds. But you don't have to accept that right now. He nodded. He didn't know why, but her answer made him feel lighter, like he had been given permission not to be anyone yet. He lowered his gaze to his hands. Small calluses on his fingertips, marks of long days of labor. He spoke softly. I feel like I'm different from the others I work with. How so? She asked gently. They know who they are, he said. I don't. I only know that every day I wake up, go to work, and bring money back to the old woman. I don't remember how I used to live. Her chest tightened, but she kept her emotions steady. She knew if she cried, he would feel uneasy. But you're still living kindly, she said. You work hard. You think about others. Those things don't need memory. He looked at her, his eyes settling slowly on her face. That familiar feeling crept back in, like someone had once looked at him with that same trust. You believe in me? He asked. Yes. She answered without hesitation. I do. Her answer left him silent for a long time. A faint image flashed through his mind. A bright room, a large table, someone standing beside him talking about trust. It vanished quickly, followed by a sharp stab of pain. He groaned softly and grabbed his head. It hurts again. Diem immediately shifted so he could rest his head on her shoulder. It's okay, she said quickly but gently. Don't try to hold on to it. Just let it pass. She placed her hand on his forehead. The coolness of her skin eased him a little. She didn't press or rub, just stayed there, letting him know he wasn't alone. After a long while, Toan exhaled more easily. Thank you, he said. I don't know why, but being next to you feels calming. She smiled small and quiet. Then stay here a little longer. He nodded. Then suddenly he asked, If one day I never remember anything at all, what would you do? The question was soft, but it cut deep. Diem stayed silent, looking down the path, stretched out before them, sunlight spilling across the dirt. I'll stay, she said at last, in whatever way I can. Stay with me, Tuan asked quietly. Stay with this path, she replied. Stay with the life you have now. He didn't fully understand, but he felt her sincerity. He looked at the grass, then back at her. You're not afraid, he asked. I am, she admitted. But I'm more afraid of not trying. They fell silent again. This time the silence wasn't heavy. It felt like a needed pause. Distant footsteps echoed briefly, then faded. The path remained, witnessing two people slowly learning how to stand in the present. Suddenly, Tuan spoke again. Can I tell you something? Yes. I don't remember my past, he said. But I remember how I felt when night came. I think I used to be very afraid of the dark. Diem trembled slightly. She knew this. She knew about his sleepless nights, but she didn't say anything. And now she asked, Now? He thought for a moment. Now I'm not as afraid. Maybe because I know if I sit here, someone will see me. She tilted her head slightly, letting her forehead rest against his shoulder. I see you, she said. Whether you remember or not. A breeze passed through, rustling the leaves. Toan gently took her hand very lightly, like he was testing something. She didn't pull away. Their hands touched, not tightly, just enough to know they were in the same place. I don't know what I can give you, he said. I don't have memories. I don't have a clear future. I don't need you to give me anything, she replied. I just need you not to disappear. He nodded. Then, I won't run anymore. Her heart pounded. She didn't respond, only squeezed his hand a little, then relaxed it again. She didn't want to turn his words into a burden. The sun slowly shifted westward. The light on the path softened. Tuan looked toward the farm, where he knew he had to return. "I should go," he said. "The old woman will be waiting." "Okay," Diem said, "go." He stood up slowly. She stood as well. They faced each other close, but not touching. He looked at her, then asked, "Tomorrow, will you be here?" She nodded. "If you pass by." He smiled faintly. "Then I'll pass by." He turned and walked away, his steps unhurried. Diem watched until his figure disappeared around the familiar bend. She didn't run after him. She didn't call his name. She knew that this time he would come back. The path returned to its quiet stillness. But for Diem, it was no longer empty. There was a promise, soft, fragile, and just enough to make her stay and wait one more day. That afternoon passed by slowly, in a strangely comforting way. After Toan returned to the dirt path, as promised, Diem was still standing there. When she saw him from a distance, she didn't call out. She just smiled. And this time, he walked a little faster. Tuan stopped in front of her. His face no longer held the tension it had before. There was something new in his eyes, not memory, but a growing sense of familiarity he was starting to accept. "You're still here," he said, as if confirming something that made him feel at ease. "Yeah," Diem replied. "I told you I would be." He nodded, then smiled without realizing it. The smile wasn't perfect, but it was warm enough. Together, they walked slowly back toward the patch of grass where they had sat that morning. Without being asked, Tuan sat down first and lightly patted the spot next to him. "Sit," he said. "The grass is drier than this morning." Diem sat down. Their shoulders touched naturally, as if they had done this many times before. There was no awkwardness, no need to search for an opening line. "Are you tired?" she asked. A little. Toan answered honestly. "But today, it feels lighter." "Because work is done." He shook his head. "Lighter, because I knew I'd see you this afternoon." The words made Diem pause for a moment. She turned to look at him. Tuan looked back slightly embarrassed, as if he had said something without thinking. But he didn't take it back. He just shrugged and gave a small, awkward smile. I don't know why he said, but once I started thinking about coming back here, my head hurt less. Diem smiled. "Maybe because you're not running anymore." Tuan fell silent. The words touched something deep inside him. He looked down at his hands, then back at her. "Do you want to take a short walk?" he asked. "Just around here." "Sure," she nodded. They stood up and walked slowly along the dirt path. Tuan walked on the left, Diem on the right. They didn't hold hands, but the distance between them was close enough to feel each other's warmth. "Do you like this place?" Tuan asked. "I do," she replied. "Everything feels slower here." He nodded. "Slow is good." They stopped beside a large tree. Toan leaned his back against the trunk and looked up at the leaves above. Sunlight filtered through the gaps, landing softly on his face, making his expression gentler. "You know," he said, "I used to feel like I was always running. I just didn't know what I was running for." Diem looked at him. And now he smiled. "I feel like if I slow down, I might not lose anything after all. She smiled too. A light, easy smile without fear or worry. They walked back to the grass and sat down again. Toan pulled a small piece of bread from his pocket, something he had brought that morning but hadn't eaten. "Are you hungry?" he asked. "A little," she said. He broke the bread in half and handed one piece to her. "It's not very good. It's fine." She took a bite and smiled. "It's good." Tuan watched her eat, his eyes filled with quiet curiosity. A familiar feeling rose inside him, the feeling of sharing something small but real. "Do you smile like that often?" he asked. "Only when I'm with someone who makes me feel safe." He smiled softly. "Then I'll try to be that person." It wasn't a big promise, but for Diem, it was enough to warm her heart. The sun sank lower. The light turned a gentle golden orange. The afternoon breeze carried the scent of dry grass and soil. Toan tilted his head, looking at her. "What if tomorrow I forget everything about today?" She didn't avoid the question. "Then I'll tell you again," she said. "Not to make you remember, just so you know you were happy." He nodded. "Then today, I'm happy." She smiled. "Me too." Tuan suddenly reached out, hesitated for a second, then took her hand. This time, it wasn't a test. His hand was warm and steady. "Like this," he said, "it feels right." Diem squeezed his hand gently. "Yeah." They sat there hand in hand, watching the evening light settle over the dirt path. No one talked about the past. No one worried about the future. There was only the present, clear, quiet, and peaceful. As night approached, Toan stood up first. "The old woman will worry," he said. "Go," Diem replied. "I'll head back later." He looked at her, hesitating. "Tomorrow, will you be here?" "Yes." She nodded. "If you want me to be," he smiled. "Then I want you to be." He walked away, but this time he didn't rush. Before turning toward the path home, he looked back and gave a small wave. Diem waved back. The dirt path returned to its quiet state, but it no longer felt lonely. It now held gentle afternoons, simple smiles, and a slow-growing happiness taking shape little by little between two people who once thought they had lost each other forever.